Directors meeting is called to order. Take roll call. Kent Naggart's here. Vince Federick.
Here.
Murray Smith.
Here.
Pete Perez. And Sharon Dunn-Marseille.
Here.
Okay, comments from the public. Looks like
Well, I got a comment. I'm above.
Go ahead.
Kudos to Kim. We have a problem at our subdivision, the beginning of our subdivision. I called the only person that I know, which is Shelley. She got me in touch with Kim. She had it fixed the next day. They came out and turned it off, fixed it the next day. We saved a ton of water.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, I got one better than that. Our neighbor had a leaky shut-off valve and on Friday, and I called at 11 o'clock and I said, it's really not an emergency. 2 o'clock, they were out there and
Wow.
fixed it. So now, I don't know whether it's because we're mud directors or whether.
Was it your yard or
I
a neighbor's
just got
yard?
cookie.
Oh, it was the meter box. My meter and my neighbor's meter's in the same box. And she's a widow.
Yeah.
And I actually had turned off the water for them. And when I turned it back on or turned it, it was leaking.
Oh, my.
Pretty good. You probably saw
Yeah.
it. Anyway,
Okay, I'll have to change the glasses and then I won't be able to see you guys.
okay. Interact on request for adjustments, any
I don't have any.
adjustments? Okay, the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions or comments on
I
anything?
do. I
Fire
have a
away.
couple of comments on the minutes. So, well, one of them is a question.
Page.
On page 2,
Okay.
item 9. On the membrane replacement, it said they have not identified any project to bring forward from the 2026 budget for the 10-year project plan. I don't remember hearing anything about that. Did that occur in our meeting?
That, that's referring, so the process that that SRA goes through for the excess funds
Yeah.
is they identify typically on the 10-year project plan, if there's anything coming up in the next year, they'll pull it forward and request to utilize the excess funds for those projects.
Mhm.
What that's saying is they didn't identify that there were any projects small enough to fit within the excess funds.
Okay.
So they chose to recommend to return the funds. That's right.
Okay. The next
Yeah.
question I have is on page 3, item number 11. It says this order will establish regular meeting places for the Board of Directors of MC Municipal Utility District number 7. I thought it was for all of ours, or is that supposed to be 36?
36, yeah, almost did that.
Okay, we didn't approve for them, we approved for us. Okay, great.
Good job.
And also, page 3, Mr. Geiger handed out the annual communication letter prior to distribution to the residents. It's my recollection that President Maggart suggested a change to remove subsidence and change it, I believe, to water conservation.
Groundwater. It got changed because we got it in our.
What?
In our-
Yeah.
Bill?
Okay.
Well, the flyer on the bill was changed to, I can't
Well,
remember
good.
exactly, but it got
I
changed.
didn't have time to look at that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
if you opened it, the water bill had the flyer with the
Oh,
changes.
right. Okay,
I'm sure we're the only one, but.
okay, that's all I had.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda and amendment to the minutes? So moved.
I do have a question, but in the financial reports on
Okay.
page 8, number 5 before we approve consent,
Okay.
page 8. I just I wanted a brief clarification on the balance sheet. It said at the bottom, it says the total equity and current surplus or deficit is only 54,685, and that is 7 months of fiscal year to date. And I have a big question mark
What
about
page
that.
is
That's
On page 8.
page 8.
Page
And we only have 54. Is that enough?
Well, taxes have been collected and paid out to M and O, and there'll be one more bond payment this fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the debt service.
Or we
My
didn't have,
page 8, that's not.
okay, it's the very last
Very right, that line right there.
total equity incurred.
Yeah.
It's page 8, the last number before the 1.4 million. It just seemed like a low number to me, and I just wondered, are we in a desperate shortfall here?
No, I
Okay,
mean, that's, yeah.
Best thing to look at is page 11. That'll give you a better idea of
yeah,
Projected.
where we're at.
okay. Thank you, Mr. President. That's the only questions I have.
Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Yeah.
Regular agenda, receive the regular monthly SGRA Woodlands Division report. Got nobody from the SGR here tonight?
Is not, they are at, Texas Water.
Oh, that's right. He's. So,
Did they miss all the meetings today? Or
Yes.
just ours?
No, all of them. So if there's any specific questions on their report, I'm happy to relay that to them or try to answer myself.
I have a question on page 32. Again, it's about that membrane replacement and capacity study. It says Ardura is preparing the final draft of both reports for submission by mid-February, but they're not here to share that with us. Is that it? That's the second box. It says reports for submission to SJRA. I was hoping we could hear about that tonight, but apparently they're not here.
Page 32.
Yes,
32, about in the middle.
middle box.
Second project.
Okay.
Estimated completion November 2024. Kind of missing that, aren't we?
I just kind of want to know what's going on with that. I mean, supposedly finished in 2024 and, you know, membrane replacement is a big part of our rehabilitation plan.
Yeah.
No, this is for the surface water.
this is a surface water plant. This doesn't have anything to do with anything in the Woodlands.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a question, maybe, Eric?
It would seem because of.
Here for your public. CRPD
Oh,
or
gotcha.
groundwater
I see.
replacement.
Yes, I see that.
We're on SJRA. I haven't heard too much about WW2 wastewater plant, true. Like, what's the status on it? In terms of, refurbishing it, rebuilding it, redoing anything?
number one.
I'm sorry, one.
Yeah, that'll be,
At the all mud meeting?
the All Muds meeting in April. I'll go over that a little bit, just the dates for it.
Are you gonna
That's gonna be done in April.
expand on that?
I don't, yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I won't bring
I'll bring it up.
At the all mud meeting.
about
Perfect.
the schedule and the
Yep.
timing and all that.
I got that.
Okay. Not in receive the attorney's report.
The only thing
We
I
have a new attorney.
that's right. My name is Gordon. I'm covering Brian. He's on spring break with his kids. He's in the yard, so we decided to let him out for a couple of days.
Good.
The only update I have for you is at the most recent trustees meeting, he provided an update on some of the current bills making their way through the legislative process this session. So if any of you are interested in that, watching the video of that meeting is a good resource. And if you have any follow-up questions, please, we'd be happy to see if we can address them.
Any questions?
It's the video.
Item 10,
You got any questions?
general manager's report. Eric?
All right, if you turn to page 35, you should see some very significant changes in your report. We've completely revamped the general manager's report into a new format, a lot more information than prior, and so you can gain a lot of information. So I'd encourage you to take a look at it, tell us what you think. If we have any refining of it, since it's kind of a new format, let us know. We'll be happy to kind of adjust, but we've made a lot of changes to it.
I like that.
I have a question. In MUD 36, it says residential new home at 46 Huntsman Lawn Circle. That's not a new home. It's been there for years.
Well, it was taken away and a new one's put in its place, I
Yes,
think.
the other one was knocked down,
The other one, what?
Yeah.
knocked down, it was raised.
Was
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a list there of projects that we've received drawings for new development or redevelopment of within Woodlands. And so that's what kind of triggers what goes on that list. So behind the scenes, we've always done it. We just hadn't put it in a list for you.
But that is under construction, Mark.
It is?
Yes, it is. I go by there all the time in my golf cart with my dog.
Also, we've, as you can see, we're continuing on with the building improvements. We have the TVs now, both in,
Notice that.
both in here and then in the hallway as well. If we get overloaded for a meeting, then we'll be able to project out in the hall with sound and everything so they can hear it. Our next move, obviously, the pictures have been around the last couple months. They're new, but not this month. Our next big move is to, we're building a customer education interface in the lobby. So we're collecting a lot of water equipment, water type of equipment, like examples of a meter or different kinds of pipe. We'll have a fire hydrant, we'll have a big valve stack, we'll have a clean out.
I didn't even know what the clean out looked like when they came out to take a
Well,
scoping of mine.
exactly. And so that's exactly why we're doing it.
Good.
And so you'll be able to walk in and see what those things look like, because we might have said, go open your clean out. And just saying,
I said, I
yeah,
didn't
what
know
is that?
it's
Right.
like.
You know, and so, you know, to look for. So that's kind of the idea, is to kind of create some awareness around some of these things that we, you know, we deal with every day. People see every day, perhaps, but they don't know what they are. Just a little white cap with a square top on it. What is that? You know,
Well,
it's
mine
clean
was
out.
buried in
Sure.
the flower bed, so I never had even seen anything.
Yep.
Stick.
I think that's a great idea.
More to come on that. The GRP update, as I mentioned last month, I would be making a summary to the trustees. I did that. I attended my first meeting. There is in your trustee summary there's a summary of what I presented at the trustee meeting. Long story short, James Korn from Oak Ridge was voted to chair. I was voted to vice chair by the committee unanimously on both. Then there was a pretty healthy discussion with Lone Star and one of the other new board members on health of the aquifer. Pretty interesting conversation evolved. And then I asked I asked for an agenda item to be placed on the next agenda to request all the committee members to come prepared to talk about what their goals are or as they represent their different entities, because I'd like to know if we're on the same page or not. And what are our goals? So I asked for that agenda item, and next meeting is on Monday. So we'll see how that comes down. The next community work group meeting is on April 2nd. So last meeting, we talked about just general responsibilities of the agency and the MUDs and SGRA, and talked a little bit about how projects come about and how they're funded within the MUDs. This next meeting, we'll talk more about specific renewable projects, the active projects that are in your packet, project write-ups that are on the website already. And then we'll touch on AC and the sewer pipe, and just from a standpoint that they're in review and they'll be going to the MUDs here soon. I did want to let you know that I was in Austin on Monday to testify to House Committee on a bill in opposition of House Bill 1335. It's a bill that would require Class B utilities, which are water and sewer facilities, to opt in to, or not have a choice, but to be a part of the 811 utility locate statewide system. And so
At our expense.
it would be at your expense on multiple levels. One, to pay for the service, and then also to pay, probably have to hire staff and equipment just to be able to go out and do it. That was a bigger concern for some of the other in opposition. There were certainly some folks that were in favor from different regions, but But I don't think it's in the best interest of the mud world.
What was the number of the bill, please?
1335.
So that would be something where it would be done by, the mud instead of the, whatever.
No, it would basically force us to respond to a call to go out and mark the water and sewer line.
Right. Well, somebody's doing that now, though.
No,
Well, I mean, they get marked when they get that agency that goes around with the little.
That's to put in the
Right.
packets and
right. And
stuff.
so those utilities are Class A utilities
Okay.
that get that done. Those utilities have a tracer wire on those utilities that allows them to wave that wand to specifically
Okay.
identify exactly where that line is. Then they throw a flag or paint it. We can't do that.
Ah.
So at the bottom ticket of an 811 ticket, it tells the contractor, water and sewer's not in this. You
Okay.
need to call the water company.
So it's
Do
like
they
that.
always do it? No.
Okay.
We learned that the hard way a few years ago right. And so one of the things I expressed to the House committee was that one of the things that did work was we would actually go out in the field with the contractor and say, look, you can see a valve, our line should be right around here. But, we may not be able to get within,
10 feet.
not this far.
Yeah.
Maybe this far. Well, we can get it closer than that. And what we found is when we went and did that, it reduced the hits tremendously. But if we were to just go blindly out because a call came in, and by the way, you would have to pay for the call, and then you'd have to pay for us to do it, to actually go locate. And then we would have to just basically put a flag where roughly it is. And so there's a lot of different problems with it. So anyway, we expressed that to them, and we'll see where that goes.
Is that a Senate bill?
No, House
Big.
Bill 1335, from Representative Gerties from the Giddings area.
What's their driver?
To have consistency in one system, that was pretty evident, and I think even the ones in opposition agreed that would be great. I mean, we're not opposing that
No,
idea,
it takes money.
but there's a lot of ramifications that we need to solve. I mean, take for instance the rural communities.
Oh,
Well, the
yeah.
money part of that for them is a big concern for them.
Yeah.
Because, one of the guys said, well, hiring a guy at 50,000 plus a car, plus, all this, it's $150,000 just to go hire a guy to
Just so you
map
can
out
do it.
all this stuff. There's a lot of talk about GIS. And, it seemed like some folks, actually some of the House members were suggesting that, oh, well, if you don't have GIS, you should. And I said, well, GIS is only as good as the source data that came from.
Yeah. Garbage,
So
garbage.
if you haven't GPSed every asset, it's not going to be any more accurate than paper. It's just electronic version. So I think some of those along the way can be solved probably, but not as it sits.
Okay.
That was where we were on that. Talk about the All-Muds meetings. The All-Mud meetings have been scheduled now.
Mhm.
I'll give you those dates. April 1st,
Page 51.
May 8th, and June 10th. So my understanding is the first two of those meetings will be solely focused on the wastewater treatment plant. My understanding is condition assessment, review, and cost estimates and things in meeting one. And I don't have the exact agenda for each, but that's roughly what Ed was suggesting last time. And then meeting two would be to finish that discussion, talk about the matrix and options. And then meeting three would be to cover any additional comments or questions that are still out there.
You're invited to all these.
I mean, it'll be a
Not
posted,
invitation, it's a command.
ideally, it's a posted mud meeting for each mud. It's not a workshop. So
At the
location.
South Con.
Location will be across the street at South County Community Center, likely about 5:30 start time. We will have food prepared, and we're looking at getting videoing the meeting as well.
What time did it normally start?
We're gonna shoot for probably 5:30. We are continuing to run the ditches and do assessment of the ditches and collect information on the asset, condition of the ditches and condition of the piping as well, coming in and out, crossings, siltation, things like that. So we're continuing to go through that. And I don't know if now's the time you want to talk about this or, because I'm about done my stuff. It's up to you. Did you want to talk?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Because I was gonna, the trustees port's next, so.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Kent had, like I said, we're going through all the ditches. Kent had requested that we go out and kind of meet and see some problem areas that he had
Yeah, three
identified.
problem areas that have been a problem for ever.
Yeah.
And we've cleaned these out every 3 or 4 years and.
Yep.
So we have a new staff. So Kim and I had a field trip and she took the pictures.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're gonna be doing going forward, we hadn't done any immediate construction yet. I really wanted to get a better feel across the entire Woodlands, what we were dealing with, how bad it was. I think we've seen enough of all the ditches so far. We're about halfway done roughly of getting through all of them. But I think we've seen enough that we can start rolling on some work. So what we're gonna do is kind of within each district itemize or identify kind of what probably the more necessary, more immediate areas that we need to address. Align that with your budget just to make sure that we're not out of line there and start tackling some of these problem areas. So that's what we're planning to do over the next few months.
As I told Kim, I think your staff has done these with their own in-house people, including their equipment. 2 of these are, 20, 25 feet of concrete, top to bottom.
Right.
So they can get their equipment in there and the trick is to get it all the silt up on the bank and dried out and hauled off. But, so
I have a
hopefully,
question for you when
Yeah.
you're finished.
so anyway, hopefully we can get those folks out there pretty quick.
Yeah, some of the
In
work
fact,
we
is
can
it-
do ourselves, some we can't.
It's kind of interesting. You go out here today and when they mow these tractors, since it's nice and hard bottom, that's where they turn around. And now you got all this huge dam where it used to be relatively smooth, where the tractors, mowing tractors, they go down one side. This is a convenient turnaround because they know it's hard. But anyway, hopefully we can get those cleaned out and get ready to silt back up again. And
Years.
Where are these 3 pipe outputs located? I don't
well, this one.
know where that is. I recognize this.
The one at Fern Ridge is right there where the,
I recognize Fern Ridge.
that's where Fern Ridge dead ends into South Mill Bend. That's particularly,
This is it, Fern Ridge dead ends to South Mill Bend, and there's 3 outlets.
that's right.
That's on the south side of South Mill Bend.
That's on the south side. So
Okay.
there's one heck of a lot of water. And
Understand.
Well, I guess I never have walked down there to see those 3
Yeah.
there. Yeah, and the people walk their dog over there. Okay.
but when we rebuilt that ditch, we spent about $50,000 12, 15 years ago, and we undercut that ditch. That ditch is a problem because it's 1,200 feet long and it's at flat. We got
Mhm.
3 outlets here and we got 3 outlets or inlets and outlets, culverts, and they're exactly the same depth when the water's standing in there. So anyway, it'll always be a problem
Okay.
because it was not designed. The culverts under Maple Branch are about a foot high. When they put those in, if they would have dropped them a foot, they got plenty of fall down to 9x3. But anyway, so that's a problem.
Mhm.
And then the other one is right next to the golf course maintenance facility.
We'll be looking at all that to get some of that cleaned out. And with that, the last thing I had was, John, communication report.
Howdy.
Hey, Joe.
Page 46 is your communications report. So the first 3 months, first quarter of our strategic plan, we were telling our story. Now we're shifting that to water quality. So that's going to be our emphasis now through May. So you'll see it reflected in our materials here. Annual reports, so those got mailed out with the last bill. We emailed them out, pushed it out through social media. We're gonna keep pushing it out a couple more ways. And once all of that lands, we can get some metrics on what kind of engagement we had with that. And I'll bring those stats to you next round. Let you know how that report performed. Page 47, and then also on 48, you've got a few different pieces there. We had some nice write-ups in various outlets. Hello Woodlands, Woodlands Online, Woodlands Community Magazine. Got some QR codes there if you missed those. So, and then we also printed out a piece in the Woodlands Community Magazine, which is actually on page 53. I want to read through that. It goes through residential water consumption in 2024, how we stacked up against historical averages.
On page 47, John, was the Texas Water Specialist Program, is that a seminar they held, or is that a magazine, or I'm not familiar with the
That's it.
Water Specialist?
Yeah, that's an ongoing program that is, it's a Texas Parks program. And there's a local host, the Woodlands Green is the local facilitator. So they get folks, certified adults and students. A lot of high school students get that. Nice thing on their resume, and they get more, beefed up on Texas waters. Yeah, so those are put on throughout the year. It's an 8-hour course with continuing education beyond. And then I stick my toe in it every now and then I'll give a talk for one of those. But we like to publicize that. It's a good educational opportunity for the community.
Did you read that article in the Chronicle about the Texas water shortage?
Which one?
Houston Chronicle, I can send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
Just water shortage all over the state of Texas.
Don't overwater your lawn.
I'm working.
Start there.
When does it stop for the winter things?
It already
It
did.
has just stopped.
It already stopped.
Winter average.
So excited. There was quite a drop in our use over the last year, in the last couple of years. People are getting your message, John. That's just, it's terrific.
We did better in 2024 versus 2023. Of course, we had a lot more rainfall. Still room for improvement. We had, forget the year now, it was about 4 or 5 years ago where we had even less rainfall, but we used even less water. So we've done better in the past, so we don't want to we want to keep our foot on the gas pedal, keep getting the message out. We're doing good. We can do even better, I think is the bottom line. So. And then outreach calendar, finally on page 49, we're going to be in a number of places here in the next month or two. I'll be at the farmer's market on Saturday, and I'll be at the township on the 12th of April for their emergency preparedness event. Eric's got a number of speaking engagements lined up as well. Of course, any of these outdoor events where we have a booth, you're really welcome to come on out, hang out with us for a few minutes or an hour, as long as you want. Talk to folks and just better understand what their comments or concerns or questions are. Yeah, it's a great way to interface with the public.
Drops a blessing, right?
That's right. That's right. Any questions?
You got a letter to the editor?
Not yet. I saw you tonight. I was like, oh man, I gotta pull that up. Red herring.
Yeah, I heard red herring.
There we go.
Uh-oh.
No, it's a letter to editor I wrote 10 years ago or 12 years ago about subsidence, and anyway, it was kind of frustrating, exactly like the meeting you sat through. And this was a letter to the editor in reply to some of the misinformation that gets put out. Anyway.
Would you like to make any comments about the trustees meeting? It was very
Yeah, I've got,
interesting.
anyway,
New people.
You
new
finished, Eric?
organization.
that new report I like. It's a far cry from what we used to have with kind of a conglomeration. So it's
Good.
Looks good.
Thank you.
Trustees report. The only comment that I have, if you didn't have, I asked Eric, Ed Shackelford if we could have a copy of the report before the meeting that we would get from the company.
Which
that-
meeting?
The concrete report. And basically, I won't get into it, but they will not guarantee that we can see it before the meeting. In fact, they couldn't guarantee that they were going to see it before the meeting.
Okay.
So to me, if you go into a meeting, you ought to have a report a day or two where we could study it and then ask intelligent questions. So you'll probably, if you look at the trustees meeting, you'll see that. So
On
don't look
video.
on video. but,
Yeah.
Don't look forward to seeing a report, because I asked, could they send it out a day or two ahead of time to
And they weren't.
Shelley, or, well, he couldn't commit that.
I will be writing a formal request to them that we requested 2 days prior to the meeting. So
Great.
at least to formally request it.
Yeah. But, it seems to be a nice logical thing to do if you're gonna have a meeting and
Okay.
we all go in there cold.
I have a question. In your report, Sarah Kuba said something. What did she say?
How much time do you have? So the conversation was talking about the decline in the aquifers. So that's not a debate, and she wasn't debating that. It's been reported, it's been studied, and it's been confirmed. The static water level on the aquifers is declining.
Right.
When there was regulation in play a few years ago, that decline flattened, if not even started to rebound. And then since the regulation went to nothing, it's kind of, the chart kind of did this, and now it's back to,
Declining.
so that's not the debate. The response was, yes, the aquifer is declining, but that's not a problem with the aquifer. That's a problem with infrastructure. That's an infrastructure issue. What she's talking about is, that's a problem with all of your wells.
She thinks she's
Yeah,
referring
the
to
wells
that.
are removing the water.
Well,
They need to lower the pumps is what she probably
it's
said.
all about, so, the way that a well works.
Oh, I see.
is there's a pipe that goes down and there's a pump at the bottom, but then there's a bottom of the well. And so that pump over the years sometimes has to be lowered because the pump needs a certain amount of head or distance above it, right? So that is dropping. Static water level is dropping and dropping and dropping. And it's going to drop to the point where there's not enough head over the pump. And if that occurs, you're going to lose capacity of the well. Then what you can do to a certain degree is lower the well. You can do what's called a water well rework. And there's a lot of things involved in rework, but one of the things could be to lower that pump to get you that head back, right? You can clean the screens, you can do some other things with the casing and all that stuff, but the point being is, at some point, you can't lower it below the bottom. You can't dig it deeper. And at some point, when that aquifer just continues to go down, all the wells in Montgomery County, or those, are going to be obsolete and have to be shuttered forever.
And you can't drill deeper
No.
because you hit the bottom of the aquifer.
Well, you can't drill that well deeper. Their argument is, go drill a new well.
Yeah.
But there's
Why
well
can't you
spacing
do-
requirement.
That same well deeper, why?
Yes, sir.
Capacity of the.
It's just when
capacity.
when you're putting in a well, you're gonna do it once.
It's at the bottom.
I got it.
Yeah,
Well, the dock, like the Jasper, you got the Vangelis, the Jasper has got a top and a bottom. And once you get to the bottom of the Jasper, you're done. You're in the shale, and then you're into another section, which is saltwater.
Yeah.
So.
Right, and so, I think the report that they're leaning on is a report that suggests that there's 180 million acre feet of water available in the Gulf Coast Aquifer, not just Montgomery County, but the Gulf Coast Aquifer. What the report also says is that most of that water you can't get to because it's salty or too deep, or,
Hmm.
so it's kind of like saying there's plenty of water in the Gulf of Mexico. That
You gotta do something.
Maybe, exactly, right? There's,
No water.
so for them to say it's an infrastructure, they're saying that's your problem with your well, not our regulation on the aquifer. And that's a pretty significant comment.
Significant?
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
So what is your
Extraordinary,
point?
yes,
What's
better
what's
word.
Sarah's point?
Say again.
What's Sarah's point? Her point is,
It's gonna well, you're gonna have to figure out your infrastructure problem.
Right.
In other words,
And
they're gonna keep
Cough up the
permitting
money.
wells until the cows come home.
until the cows come home.
So they're saying the aquifer is infinite.
Yeah.
well, the aquifer, yes, but not your well. So you're gonna have to go re-drill somewhere, or you're gonna have to find an alternative water source, or you're gonna have to go to surface water. You're gonna have to do something once you run out of water. Cause
At
there's,
some point, those aquifers are gonna be empty.
Deplete.
But that's not what she's saying. She's saying the aquifer is gonna go on forever because I don't know what.
She didn't take high school science. The amount of mass in the universe is constant.
that is the stance of the current organization of Lone Star.
That's crazy.
I,
Well, I would agree.
Okay, I read it and thought,
Yeah, I know.
that doesn't make sense, but, and it doesn't. Thank you.
Yeah.
you read it right.
Yeah,
You can say it, he can't.
being an oil and gas, if you read this letter to the editor and being an oil and gas reservoir engineer and making a living is once the water pressure goes to zero, the aquifer is still full of water. You know, that 180 million acre feet, there's still 180 million acre feet, but there's no pressure. In other words, so you may have,
Got a lot of wet sand is what you're saying.
and it's just like oil wells. When oil wells end up and the oil still, the reservoirs are still full of oil in a lot of cases, but there's no pressure for it to push it to the well bore. Same thing will happen in the aquifers. And so they use this number of 180 million acre feet, but they forget the oil and gas business, we call it in place and recoverable.
Mhm.
There's 180 million acre feet in place. There's about a tenth of that that's recoverable. And the rest of it, if you got no pressure, you can't recover it. And that's the point that they miss.
Hence the Chronicle article about Texas as a whole. Is that gonna happen?
No, we're gonna sell water to West Texas.
Oh,
That's it. Oh, yeah. We got to exit. That's what Whitmire, Governor Abbott's wants to take our East Texas water and send it to West Texas. That was the gist of that article. But anyway, it's a sad situation,
Yes.
to say the least.
Well, I'm sure it was a very.
But anyway, anything else? I don't have anything else. Just the fact that hopefully we will get a report, and at the very least, they could put it on, you could let us know if we could see what kind of report, if you requested it. You may or may not get it.
He's on it. He's already gonna make a request.
Yes.
I assume we got no closed session.
No, sir.
I've got one thing that I want, and this may be not it's a legal issue, but
You want to put it on the
I wanna-
future agenda?
for a future agenda, you'll probably notice that the Woodlands Christian Church is moving. That church that's over there, there was an article in Impact Magazine. You know which one I'm talking about, the one right on Millbend, right next to the park.
The
Oh,
scientist
okay.
one?
The
Not
Christian
the Christian.
Scientist?
No, you got the
There's two.
Christian.
One's on one
There's
side.
three.
One's
Yeah, well,
Disciples
there's
of
actually-
Christ,
yeah.
one is the.
But the
Christian
one on
Scientist.
the one next to the Montessori school,
Okay.
that's the Christian church. But
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
they're apparently moving to Rayford Road.
Okay,
And the Woodlands has a land use designation for various areas, residential and office and all this. And the question legally is that one, I assume they're gonna want to sell that property. And what the land designation is for that tract, whether it has to be another church or just exactly how that's designated. And what the reason I'm bringing this up is that they have to get water and sewer service from us And we have the right to deny it, believe it or not. We can, We
Not,
can-
not in your, not within your district, you know.
because if we don't have the capacity, we
Well,
haven't,
but you do have this, well,
no. But I've worked this problem a little bit. Legally, I want to find out what the land use designation is, if you guys could, in other words, like I say, I'm not sure whether it's our legal department that handles that or not.
It wouldn't be the MUD's legal department. MUDs don't have land use.
I did have a
I mean,
question.
we could look at what, it was originally platted as. And it's, you know, it's a tax exempt entity right now. So,
Because there's a parking issue there and they can't just do anything.
well,
I
that's,
mean, it's a
that's
big
exact-
parking issue.
Well, they got a big parking lot. That's not the point. Right now, the development companies, you know, the old library slab there
Yeah.
next to the school, they've got a sign up there that they're gonna put some kind of
Oh, future.
future something.
That's been there for years.
Well, they've been putting it up there, but they bought that property and the church actually, that same church owned that.
Oh,
They sold it. So,
Having built the office building here in the Woodlands, it all goes through the Woodlands Development Corporation and they're bare to deal with.
well, that's the point. But
unless you are.
to point out, you know, those, if you go by them everywhere, every day, Pete, you know, those developments there on Nursery Road and where it did that 5 acres,
Oh, yeah.
we designated what was gonna put in there.
But that's not
Talk about-
Woodlands.
No, yeah, it was, because we
No,
had
it is not. It's in our mud, but it's not in the
It
woodland.
is,
But it's not.
yeah, it is.
It is not.
Okay.
Anyway, I can assure you that it is now in the Woodlands. If you don't believe it, go check the tax roll. But we designated that there would be no commercial development in there, no apartments. And then, but we had to annex it. But those townhomes, they're townhomes across
Yeah, across the street.
the street. Those were originally in the Woodlands.
They are still, aren't they?
Yeah, they're still.
so what's the concern with the church? What
I'm
we-
concerned that somebody's gonna buy it and not realize that what the land use designation is before they make a big financial commitment and
Oh,
think they're gonna go in
No,
and
they'll
put.
have to go through us,
Can't fix stupid.
utility commitment.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll vet that out.
No,
The issue may be that it has to be replatted,
In the deed district.
for the purpose, if for some reason someone bought it and didn't want to make it a church, then we'd have to identify the capacity that was allotted to the track already
Mhm,
and whether or not the new use was greater than or less than.
Exactly.
That then comes into your comment about having the right to serve it or not. And then, I mean, if it changes from a church to some kind of commercial deal, then you'd get the tax revenues from the new deal.
It won't go to a commercial.
No, it's on the wrong side of the road.
You don't think it would? I mean, it could.
No,
But it could
because
go multifamily.
we won't, this mud won't supply them water and sewer service.
Oh,
I'll just flat tell you, we won't do it.
I see. You're opposed to it changing uses, is what you're saying.
That's right.
I see.
But it could be a nonprofit that just has a building
No,
over there where they
well,
have.
that's why I say it's a-
Educational
but somebody-
opportunities.
Somebody needs to, in this meeting tonight, is putting people on notice if they decide to buy that tract, that they need to come to us. And
Yeah, they'll have to do that already.
so, but anyway, I want
It's a good point. Very good point.
to put that on the next agenda.
Okay.
And I'm not sure
Well,
whether,
that ought to be fun.
Probably discuss the legality of track usage change, of some
Land use restrictions.
Land use restrictions.
Minus the church.
well,
Yeah,
well, a good example is the old Randalls and the new community center. See, that land use designation, there's supposed to be a grocery store in there.
Supposed to be.
Now, I don't know who approved and how they got around changing the land use
Because
designation.
it's the Howard Hughes Corporation.
But don't you think it has a component for the permanent farmer's market?
It's supposed to.
That's kind of what my
It's
thought
supposed to.
was.
So the
That's
way they
the
did
food
this, so
component.
Howard Hughes had first right of refusal if they were gonna sell it. And then Howard Hughes bought it. And then they made the change in the land use designation through their ability to do so.
That's exactly right.
So the one I would worry about buying that tract where the church is Howard Hughes.
That's right.
Buying it.
I just want to put Howard Hughes on notice now is we don't like what they're putting in there. We won't give them water and sewer service.
I have Jim
And I
Hoffman
can-
speak now if y'all want.
And I can tell you that I have researched that and there is no requirement that a MUD supply water and sewer service. Particularly if,
We'll correct that with legal next month.
well, particularly if we have to buy capacity.
If you do not have the capacity to serve is a different question.
If we don't, we haven't bought it. And we don't intend to buy it if we don't like what's going in there.
Oh, Lord.
We'll talk about that.
Thank you.
On the agenda for next.
On the agenda next week,
Talk about it.
Hit that gavel.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
I have a motion.
motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Second.
Now, second,